Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I've decided I've tested this little Ozark Trail folder enough where I can give an opinion on it, as well as some facts about performance. That way, they're in the $5 Christmas stuff right now at Walmart, and they would make really good EDC options for folks, even people that use a knife pretty heavy. I think these would be perfectly fine. So I got two of the Ozark Trail 7.5-inch folding knives from Walmart, $5 a piece. Super light, like really light, and they do the fancy flick thing. The fit and finish, I think they look pretty good. I reckon. I'm a Swiss Army knife kind of guy. Just, I like having some extra stuff in my pocket, so that's the direction that I normally go. But this thing is very capable. So what I've done is I bought two, or I had my sister pick me up two, because our Walmarts never have them. See that little guy right there? Little screw. That's what led to the demise of this dude. And I had a little, okay, we're gonna talk about this guy too while we're at it, which is another good Christmas present option. I think it was like $8. Pretty sweet little deal. So this is the one that I've just been carrying in my pocket, doing normal day-to-day stuff with it. And you can see it doesn't have much wear. It's got a little bit, but it's sharp. It's easy to get sharp, and it stays sharp, which I think for some sort of stainless steel is a good thing. At one time there were these USTs, Ultimate Survival Technology machetes, and these little weird axe things that they used to have at Walmart that had some insane stainless steel on it. Like, it would get ridiculously sharp, and I made a tomahawk out of a piece of one of the machetes one time because the handle got broke off of it. But that stainless would hold the edge. No idea the specifics of it, but super sharp. It done really well. I still have the machete, or the tomahawk, as a matter of fact. I might have to share that again one day. But anyway, so what I've done is I had one I was just going to carry every day and just kind of do my normal stuff. And then I had one, this guy. This is the screw out of the side of the scale. So, and this is really what led to the demise of this knife. Both of those guys fell out. So this dude was just, it won't even stay locked anymore. It was getting kind of sketchy to stay open. So I called it. Just as soon as it got unsafe, I decided that I didn't want to do it anymore. But I let me put this in here so I don't lose it. Took this guy and just cut all kind of stuff. I batoned it. I did all kind of crazy mess. And in the end, I busted this scale right here. And the lock doesn't work right anymore. But what led to that is these two screws falling out from repeated shock. It made it fall out. But I've done some preventative maintenance on this dude and put Loctite on those guys. But I don't ever plan on beating this guy the way that I beat this dude. And when I say I beat it, here was my material that I used. Just gonna go like this. So it's just a true 2x4 rough cut. And every time I stuck the blade in this thing, if I didn't throw it, I would use a baton and smack it and put it in there. And I've done a tremendous amount of cuts on this thing, all over the place, on the ends, Just any place I could do it. And then what I would do, just as an example, is I would take it, and like if I put it, I had a bigger baton than this. I had the one from, I have it work. I don't have one right here on my stuff. We'll just use a hammer. So every time I would do it, this is how I'd put it in there. If we put it in there, I would tap it every time. And also, I would do it on the end too. I'd stand up and peck it on the end. And that's really what killed it. See, it won't even lock. The thing gets slid around a little bit. I did a whole lot more than this too. This wasn't the only thing that I'd done. I'd batoned a bunch of wood with it. Probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 this size down to pinky thickness. But I just kept this guy so I could demonstrate what I had done with it. The break here in the scales is because I was beating it, of course. But what led to that is underneath the scales there is a little ear here that locks the jimping on the top and the locking mechanism kind of to the scales themselves. And I don't think you can see inside there very well, but you can see the pieces right in here, how they're out from the scales. And in all of my whipping on this thing, I noticed a screw was missing after I had been using it for probably, I don't know, half an hour or so. So I couldn't find it anywhere. And I started just keeping going with it, and I'd cut banding in plastic, and we had these big rolls of paper at work, and I would cut they're capped on each end and wrapped in paper to keep them kind of out of the elements. And they're 40-inch outside diameter, so I would cut all the way around both ends of the paper on that to unpackage the rolls. And I did probably 8 or 10 rolls, I guess, and I cut some boxes and this and that. But the paper was more cutting than opening packages in quite some time. Like it's a considerable amount of paper. And all of these little things was amplifying either poking or cutting big time. Hey, Butch, somebody's here. Butcher, somebody's here. Go see. Go see, Butch. Somebody's here. You better go see. He's worried about the chickens. Anyway, sorry. But I was really rough with this guy. And this crack here happened. And I also noticed that it was starting to bust down here on the ends and look pretty wonky. And that is from it being vertical and me hitting the end of it. Just shoving all that stuff forward. So the holes don't even line up anymore, if you can see it. So the threaded hole on the back side of that doesn't line up. I hope that dude's not coming in the yard. I got 2 beware dog signs and a chain on the gate, so hopefully they're not. Sorry. I took the field sharpener from Worksharp, and that's what I used to sharpen this dude. And even after all of that stuff, it's still sharp. Like it's sharp enough to do whatever you would want to do with it in an EDC scenario anyway. And I didn't abuse this thing for about 2 weeks before I finally killed it. I think I could have got a lot longer out of it if I would have noticed that this hardware had fallen out, but I just didn't. And I just kept on going with it because that's how things happen. A lot of times if you're EDCing this dude and you lost one of those bolts or one of them screws, if you couldn't find it, you would just rock and roll with one of them out. So that's what we done. I also of all of my tools, I didn't have the appropriate Torx bit. I think it's a T6 to tighten up those screws on the side of this thing. So I got this little dude just for this knife off the Amazon, and it's a Kershaw, just kind of multi-bit screwdriver, and it has these little bitty, I'm using it 5, it's got 5 bits in it, and they go in the handle. And it did come with the T6. Well, while it's out, I guess I can go ahead and tell you guys what it comes with, huh? It's got a T10, a T8, a T6, a slotted, and a Phillips. And if you're doing stuff with tools and knives and things, it pays to have a set of tools for working on this stuff. And I have a whole tool kit that's just for working on knives and stuff, but I just didn't happen to have this size for what I normally work on. I have that stuff, but just didn't have this size. I said $8, eight maybe 8 and some change, so say $9 for this thing with free shipping. Pretty cool. Be good for the EDC enthusiast, pocket knife guy. What else? The long story short, I beat on this thing way more than you would normally a folding knife. Like, I increased the abuse tremendously for what it was. Like, I've used this one and I haven't had the first issue with it, but I did go ahead and pop these out on each side, and I put red Loctite on them, just a dab, and then put it on each side and wiped it off. Man, it's busy as heck around here. But I didn't have any issues with any of the other stuff coming loose. This guy's clip got where it would move a little bit, and that was just for me whipping on this thing. I beat on it until all the paint had come off the spine, and then finally it was damaged, where I don't feel that it's safe anymore. See, the lock don't even lock. But the amount of damage to this knife versus what I did with it is minimal, I think. It's pretty awesome. The thing that really made me nervous at first when I started to get it is just how much it weighs. Like, it doesn't weigh anything. And that sometimes with tools, you know, that's not if it don't have a little weight to it, it could mean lots of things. But I just thought its weight may have reflected its durability, and it did not. It done really well, and I'm going to continue to carry this dude in my pocket and do stuff with it until you know, I have an issue with it that I think that I need to bring to light. But this was all me. Of course, it didn't have nothing to do with the knife. If I would have used the knife correctly, I don't think it would have failed. Well, I know it wouldn't. The other one I have in my pocket, I've used the same amount of time, and it's perfectly fine. But the batoning, so this, I had a bigger baton, and I bent the tip a little bit too, you can see. But that was just from sticking it in there. So every time I did something, that's what I would do. And I'm surprised that it held up as well as it did. That shock, the shock from this will vibrate hardware loose big time. I've seen it a bunch on knives that have removable hardware from several different companies, but that's not a big deal to me. I just pop them out, and if it's not something that you want to come out, I would put red Loctite on there. If it's something that you think you may have to work on some other point, say maybe a multi-tool or something, I'd put a little blue on it and torque it down. But for normal use, you know, things like that, it's not a, I don't think you really had to worry about it much. But that the vibrations that go through it when you beat on it is really tough on hardware sometimes. But a $5 Ozark Trail monster. It done extremely well through everything. And if I believe that if I would have noticed the hardware was missing sooner and was able to find it and put it back in there, the damage would probably not have happened as soon. I'm not going to say that it wouldn't have happened eventually, but it's from this stuff inside moving around versus the position of the outside stuff. So it was, you know, it was putting it in a weird bind, and it's, you know, I had done it enough where the holes don't even line up anymore in there. It was a fun experiment. I was surprised. I saw a bunch of things where this thing just had whipped up on some other knives, and I wanted to, you know, just see for myself how the testing fared for it, and it done really well for $5. Totally worth $5. Even if you paid $5 for it and didn't get but 6 months out of it using it really hard and threw it away and got another one for $5. I mean, $10 for a knife, or $10 for 2 knives that last you an entire year is pretty cheap, especially for something if you're scraping gaskets or cutting hoses and different things like that. This thing would be perfect. Anywho, I'm going to try to get an orange one of these days. They're supposed to be D2. And for the steel, I think the steel, I don't think you need to worry about the steel. Like it's this thing's still sharp, and the other one got really sharp really fast. It was very easy. So I'm gonna say the steel edge retention and all is good. Like it's worthy of the $5 deal, 100%. But it's just the missing pieces is what killed it. And these are at your local Walmart. Oh, I'm not good at that, especially in front of a camera. In a little cardboard deal, in like a wooden cardboard big display box. It's over close to the sporting goods section in most of them. And I think there's blue and black, I think also. White, blue, and black. But for $5, well worth it. Anywho, appreciate the support, guys. We're running up on Christmas here pretty soon. I hope everybody has a good holiday. Appreciate the support. Check out bushcraftkelso.com for gizmos and gadgets. Like and subscribe. I've got a bunch more stuff coming down the line. Be sure not to miss it. Got a Bigfoot for the area. It's getting not that awesome, but anyway, I've been collecting little things for it over the past couple months. Check out my Instagram at bushcraftkelso. You'll find all of my stuff on there. I hit 8,000 posts here a while back, so there's a ton of information on it. But again, thank you. Be safe and have fun. Later.